your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride, wherever you're going, wherever you may be headed. As we're coming to you live from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios in Bloomington. Jim Coyle with you. As always, Jake's at the wheel, keeping us on the track. On the program today, we get back to a little bit of normalcy after being live from Bill Armstrong Stadium yesterday. Matt Weaver from Peegs.com is going to join us. Talk a little football, catch up. We didn't, it's kind of odd because we're going to have 2 consecutive days without seeing practice. They were off on Wednesday. I understand they enjoyed just a beautiful day out at the lake, not necessarily on the lake. But also on the program, Kevin Brockway, IU beat writer from CNHI Papers, will join us. Talk some football and basketball and soccer as well. Yesterday, I had the chance to see the first half of the women's soccer game. I think they were playing Northwestern. That's right. As we were live from Bill Armstrong Stadium, very fortunate to have Coach Ben Bennicom join us, as well as Coach Todd Yeagley from the men's soccer team, as they opened the season up yesterday. Their first practice. So things are all underway, man. We've had volleyball's media day as well. We'll get to bring some of that to you. All that was fun times. And now it's getting back to football. And today we actually meet with Coach Allen just to speak with him. And I'm wondering, I've said that I think they named the quarterback Monday. I think that, I'll take that back. I said next Monday. That's not going out onto a limb. That's not a stretch. That's the Monday before their game. So of course they'll do that. I don't know. I don't think things have changed between Monday and today. And as far as what he has to talk about, because they've only practiced Monday and Tuesday. Of course, I guess they'll have a practice today by the time we talk to him. So I don't think that things will have changed just yet with this much time left. I think they want to take as much time as they can to evaluate, but they want to get to that quarterback named as soon as possible. We'll certainly find out when they do, but it's a question that comes up every time we meet with, whether it's Tom Allen or Kalen DeBoer. That question comes up. I'm sure it'll come up today when we talk to him as well. Now, on Tuesday, we saw them implementing some new plays, so nobody looked great, but that was because of the implementing the new plays, some wrinkles in things, personnel being different, so it wasn't quite as smooth. But that was not a regression. Like I said, it was just because of putting new stuff down. Some gigantic news that I saw yesterday late, that possibly involving Romeo and Nike. I see Tim sent in a text about that same thing too. Yes, you're right, Tim. It was alleged that Nike was supposed to pay Zion Williamson $35,000. Romeo only commanded 20. They were supposed to pay Romeo 20, but there's no evidence that this happened, that the deal went through, that it was actually made. And Tim was asking, if it comes up, assume IU is okay because this was done during Romeo's high school year, not while at IU. Well, that's twofold. If he was found to have foregone his amateur status, no, he'd be ruled ineligible. Therefore, that season, every game he played in would have been forfeited, I think. But again, that's there's nothing. I don't think they have anything to show that this happened because, for one thing, Romeo played on an Adidas circuit for an Adidas team and went to an Adidas school. I don't think there was any involvement with him and Nike. That may have been something they wanted to do, that they wanted to offer, but I don't think that there's anything there to be concerned about. But I think it shows, if these allegations are true, the Nike side of things. And then it makes you ask, well, were any of these deals made with anyone else? Which I'm sure that's exactly what they're looking at. I mean, it's a big deal, of course. And that's a story that will continue to follow. But everything has been all Adidas. And we all wondered, why? Why is it not Nike? Because you know that stuff's going on both sides of the aisle there. But we hadn't heard anything. But now you have. Trying to find that story pulled up again, but I saw it I think I saw it on Yahoo first. But it's a story that's not going to go away, that's for sure. But I don't think there's anything to it. And, you know, if you want the truth be told, Romeo played for an Adidas sponsored AAU team ran by his father. So I don't think that there was any Nike involvement whatsoever. I'm going to leave it at that. As far as the other guys, that Zion Williamson went to Duke, which was a Nike school. So he stayed in the fold. Romeo was never in the fold. He was never a Nike guy in any way, to my knowledge. Now, I know he did play on an AAU team prior to the one that was run by his father, which was his last AAU year. And I can't remember who that was off the top of my head, and I therefore don't know who they were affiliated with on the shoe side of things. But again, there doesn't seem to be anything there. But it's something that we'll continue to follow. I think those are the only two guys that I remember seeing being named. I had the story pulled up and I lost it, so that's why I'm just stretching. But that's all there is, I think, to it. So there's not really a lot more to go into about it, but that's that. And funny that on the day that comes out, you've got down at Louisville, you had they were self-investigating themselves, and they were looking at a report that one of their board of trustees members had gone rogue and helped them with Strippergate, being the cash man. Allegedly, President James Ramsey said something that David Grissom, a board member, overheard, that a trustee had been the cash source for paying off the strippers. Not only was that not substantiated, Andre McGee, who didn't cooperate with the investigation, though, but he never made that allegation. Now, since he didn't cooperate with the investigation, that's very possible that he should just kept his mouth shut. And if that was the case, if that guy probably has money. If that were to happen, he probably said, "Hey, here's an extra 50. Shut up. Take the fall." But again, nothing that they found in that regard. And speaking of Louisville, Rick Pitino's back in the USA. I love the University of Louisville, he said. So at least for those guys down there, the divorce with their coach was he doesn't carry a grudge towards the school. He properly, his whatever disdain and anger he has is properly placed with the people that he dealt with as a people, not as the brick and mortar school, as unfortunately Bob Knight did for so many years. He talked about with CBS Sports Network that a family matter convinced him to return to the U.S. I have a grandson that has a form of epilepsy, Pitino said. There's only 300 people in the world that has this. He's a 1-year-old, and I wanted to spend the next 6 months to help my son and daughter-in-law just turn over every stone to find a great geneticist to find out answers. I'm trying to use all my connections that I made in my 40-plus years of coaching to find some way. So Rick Pitino is coming back to the U.S. because of that. And they asked him a bunch of other stuff, but our audience doesn't care about Rick Pitino, about him returning and to coach and this, that. So, but you can find the story if you want to. How about this? Ohio State. What a bunch of jackwagons. The Ohio State University is seeking to trademark the word "the," which I don't know they want to trademark the word "the." It should be "the" because they don't say "the" all the time. They say "the Ohio State University." So it would be the Ohio State University. It would just be funny if they were able to trademark "the" and would always say "the." But that's the dumbest thing. I don't understand how you can trademark that word. Maybe in a phrase, possibly. The filing made on August 8th seeks to protect the school's formal name, the Ohio State University, from being used without permission on clothing and hats. Now, if it's the Ohio State University, which I think is stupid, that is just ridiculous. I don't know what they think their people are confusing the Ohio State University with in the state of Ohio. They have Cleveland State. Is that who they think they're confused? Cincinnati? Xavier? No. That's just goofy. But let them be them. T. Gray Scales is having a good camp with the Steelers. The NCAA suspended a dude because of improper paperwork. BYU star Yoli Childs has been suspended for the first 9 games of the 2019 season after it was determined he did not submit appropriate paperwork while testing the NBA draft process earlier this year. Childs led the Cougars in scoring with just over 21 points a game. He made the error while working with an agent, the NCAA said. Those errors included impermissible expenses, which Childs has since paid back plus interest. There was some confusion with the new process, and I made decisions that I have caused an outcome that none of us like, Childs said at a press conference Friday. I just want everyone to know my intent was never to do something wrong. Of course not. But that's that. That's our opening news. Just not a lot going on, but there's a lot of goofy stuff, it seems like. Just over 2 months from basketball kicking off, I saw a post yesterday. We're a lot less than that from football kicking off, baby. It's here. They're kicking things off for real on August 31st up in Lucas Oil, Ball State Cardinals. Are you going? It's a noon game. Jake, you going?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, nooners are hard to get to.
I don't care about your personal life. Talking football here, man. Keep it. It's a family show. Oh man, yeah, things kick off on August 31st. I cannot wait for the season to get underway. On the 30th, the women's volleyball team opens Wilkinson Hall. We'll be there live. Indiana Sports Beat is your complete coverage for Indiana athletics. Nobody, and I mean nobody, covers IU athletics like we do. Doesn't matter, every sport. Softball, soccer. We're not just football and basketball. We give you complete coverage of football and basketball, but everything else. Soccer, women's soccer, men's soccer, softball, baseball, swimming, whatever. We're there. That's why it's called Indiana Sports Beat, boys and girls. We got a lot coming up on the program today. Matt Weaver from Peegs.com. We're going to talk a little bit football. We'll discuss that quarterback position. Kevin Brockway, IU's beat writer from CNHI, is also going to join us. So look forward to that. Plenty more. We're going to hear from some volleyball players, some soccer, some that football. We got everything, man. It's a busy day. Thursday. Going to be an absolutely gorgeous day, by the way. Get out and play. Do something. After Indiana Sports Beat, of course. Hey, we've got more coming up. Stay tuned. Coach Todd Yeagley. A little reboot. Great conversation with him. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's got a lot more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point mobile studios, which we've moved to Bill Armstrong Stadium, Jerry Yeagley Field, and sitting right next to Coach Todd Yeagley of the men's program. Coach Yeagley, thank you so much for joining us as always.
Thanks for having me.
Opening practice day, always excitement, I guess, for you, but also it's a serious deal. You know, you got a short amount of time. Talking to Coach Bennicom, they've only had like 6 or 7 practices leading up to the matches they've got right now. So every day is critical, I know, for you guys.
It is, and you know, I think with a young team and a new team with 14 new pieces to the equation, our preseason will look different than last year, and the challenge as coaches is how much we can give them in digestible amounts so that we can see if it's translated into our sessions, into the big games. Otherwise, it's going to be too much. We're not going to quite know, where they are. So that's a challenge as coaches. I think from a team standpoint, it was a good first session. They're always going to be, overly ramped, excited. You wouldn't want it any other way, but that's also where it's a hard eval that first session to see some things. We gave them, we gave a little less conditions today. Kind of wanted to see some tendencies on what guys like to do. So we got into, some 8v8, and we're able to see them kind of in somewhat shape and roles that they feel comfortable in, but not control where they go and not control touches today, and let them see and let us see kind of where what their tendencies are, and then we can start tweaking from there.
When you have 14 guys, is that a normal number for you to have? I mean, what's a normal class size, new class size?
Yeah, that's a big number, and obviously, you go and you plan out, but things happen, and things happen where you lose a player to the pros, and always that's a good problem. Certainly when it's the right time for both them and most importantly with their future. And so this was a class that was somewhat out of the reaction, if you will, to all of those pieces. And again, we saw it coming, so we were able to find some answers and some players. But yeah, in a normal cycle, you'd prefer to have a little bit more balanced. A class 6 to 9, and then you might have a year. But yeah, this is a high number.
Well, for those of you who follow on social media, there's been just a litany of guys we've seen in the pros that doing very well, of course. But when you see that, that wow, they had to leave the team. So that means there's been a lot of attrition. But
and a lot of those guys are fifth-year guys too. Like, so even in your cycle, some of those players that are playing pro. I mean, some of them were fifth year. Or Corey's case, he was injured, but he's a pro level player. And those guys would have been part of another class. So there would have been a little bit more players in last year's class if they would have been in their natural cycle. But that's what we needed to do for them in the program. And so yeah, we'll start evening this out as the years go on.
Obviously, the roster overhaul is something that you have to do each year, but this year in goal is going to be a change. So you've had a familiar face in there for the last couple of seasons. This is going to be a different season now.
It is, and I mean, this is a great example of you're cheering for all your guys and ones that certainly put in a lot of work, and they know nothing's guaranteed to them. Competition is premium here, and yet Sean Caulfield has been as good as of a support backup goalkeeper, but very capable starter for a few years. And when Trey came in, it was a dogfight in the preseason. We just felt that Trey had a few more skill sets at that time for that team that could help, and we went with him. And we didn't lose a game until the final. So you're not going to make a change, certainly, and he was doing well too. So Sean has been fantastic, and obviously with Trey leaving, it was a door open for him. One out, one in, and Sean knows he's got to come every day, and he needs the guys behind him to push. And I think we got a good core. But yeah, it is a different voice, different strengths. I do think for this particular team, Sean's leadership and attention to detail and overall personality will help this group grow as quick as any goalkeeper that would have been in the core. Trey was a good communicator, a good organizer, but that's Sean's big strength. And so for this group, I think Sean really, his skill sets really help our team get as best ready as we can.
And we talked about adding those 14 guys that you talked about. Indiana is a team that always has a target on its back. Wherever it goes, it's Indiana's coming to town. So you're the team that they want to beat. You've got to get these guys ready for that. So having that large class and knowing that you always have that target on your back, that's going to make it a little more anxious to get the season going.
As we told them last night, I told the guys that, you do the schedule and we go through it. And we talked about a few things in the schedule. And I said, more often, guys, if you go around the other locker rooms in the country, that if the other teams are going to circle a game they want the most, or they're looking forward to, or they feel it's a must opportunity, your name's going to be circled. And I go, we're not circling anyone. We respect every opponent, but we go after every game because we know we're getting everyone's best. So we can't pick and choose maybe when we're going to find another gear, maybe like other teams who might have a schedule that allows them to kind of either rotate some players or pick a moment to find another gear. We can't do that. So that's an important thing. And, again, we respect all our opponents, and we've got a tough schedule as always. But every game, it's the next one. And that's a good thing for us when you have that inherent pressure within your group to make sure they're ready.
What are some of your schedule highlights this year? I mean, you're circling one, but there's got to be some that you've seen as that's.
Oh, certainly. Kind of certainly. I mean, some of our traditional kind of regional rivals or national rivals with UCLA. No doubt that Sunday night game is going to be hopping. That's a premier match for us, the Classic. Pitt is a surging program in the ACC. Jay Vidovich is an excellent coach. They're going to be very talented and very skillful. Be a really tough matchup to get out of the gate. And then you get into, a Notre Dame at home. I mean, we obviously saw what last year's game was in the Elite Eight. What a great match in so many ways, atmosphere and on the field. And it's been a great in-state rivalry with them. And then you throw your Butlers, and then you throw in a team from out of the region of Denver up at South Bend, who's been in the top 20 quite a bit, and a really tough team and super disciplined. That'll be a great test for a young team to see how we handle that. A talented Seattle team. I mean, you can keep going on. A Butler's always a fun game with being an in-state game. A lot of the guys will know each other, and you get in the Big Ten, and Maryland's always been the game that typically has been one of the more unique ones in our conference. But I mean, the games of Michigan State and Wisconsin. I mean, every game is so uniquely challenging that it's just maybe it's a home game that you're like, okay, that's going to be maybe an interesting one, or going on the road to Maryland. We know they might get the biggest crowd of the year when we come, but we love that.
And you talk about Maryland, Indiana, and Maryland, or Maryland and Indiana, 1-2 in the opening rankings coming out. The Big Ten, always tough. But, man, is it getting just tougher every year?
It's flattering. It's a nice reflection of last year. I can't speak for Maryland, and I know they lost some pieces too, but to put us at 2 with one starter returning is flattering. Yet that's the rearview mirror in context. And for us, Do I feel like we can be up there? Yes, I do. I always take that feeling every year. But this team might take a little more time to get to that point where we're a top 5 team in our performance and all the things that we can bring. So it really doesn't matter. When we said to the team, it's flattering. I think it's a pat in the back to the program. Every alum should wake up and see the ranking and go, that feels good, because they're as much a part of that as last year's team, and certainly the least important as well as this year's team with regards to a preseason schedule, because they've not done anything. So
we're looking out at Jerry Yeagley Field, and there's going to be we're kind of in the midst of a lot of reconstruction that's going to go on. But right now, the field surface is completely replaced and new out there. How has that been?
It's been great. I mean, we've been working on this for a while. And I say that, preparing and talking about how to update, a field that has so much historic meaning to college soccer and really soccer in this country. And it was dated. It was one that, we hadn't had a major renovation to it since it was built, meaning the substructure. The turf had been changed through the years, and Brent did a really nice job of cycling those in and making the surface. But, at some point that underbelly is worn out. And, you build a field in 81, they put drainage 30 inches below the surface, and today you do it 15. So it's like anything. You don't operate the same way in medicine. You don't prescribe the same way. So it needed a major upgrade, and then obviously being able to use the technology of new Bermuda strain, and let Jeremy, who's phenomenal in this industry and has such passion for grass, loves the fact we want grass. And so with his team and the support of the administration financially to get this done, and the gift from Kreider, for us to have, what it looks like today is phenomenal, but this thing is only going to keep getting better. And our ability to handle the rain that we'd have in certain games, and having any delays or playing with sand and water just is a thing of the past. So we're really excited.
And new locker rooms are going to be, they're going to tear the
that's the next phase. Yeah, we're just talking about the field. I mean, this is the piece that's done. Then the big kind of functional piece, if you will, is next, and that will be starting this fall, and we should be in that next July, and that will be, I kind of referenced to kind of the cook hall for IU soccer. It's going to have both men and women's soccer and house our locker rooms. We'll move completely out of Assembly Hall. We'll be in one spot, so all of our athletes, there'll be spaces for them to study. There'll be places for them to relax. There'll be a little indoor training space. Our offices will be there. So the continuity of the whole setup, and it's going to be a visually great upgrade to our facility. So I can't wait to get into that.
And already this is the premier pro college soccer program in the country, but when you add all that stuff, I mean, it just raises it to another level if it's even possible.
It does. And I think Fred and our senior staff, always made it clear that, IU soccer is a premier program. And, with the field having some issues, with our stadium not having a major renovation, and it's not because of, team A, B, and C have a new one. To me, I don't think facilities are going to win you a game, but it also allows you to function better, allows your players to have a place they feel good, and allows them to have all the support they need. And that, to me, reflects why they said it's time to make a major upgrade to our facility, and one that I think we all can be extra proud about. And that's important too.
I know you're busy today, all big practice. And one other thing I want to ask you about, because I know it's very important to you, the documentary of your dad, Jerry Yeagley, is coming out. Mm-hmm. I think the end of this month, hopefully, or sometime this month. Is that on schedule happening?
It is, yeah. It will happen during Labor Day weekend. Worth the wait, and it's going to be a phenomenal piece that Blue Line, in particular Tucker, has done a tremendous job. I've only seen the trailer, and I watched that over and over and over, and I get so excited. I haven't seen a bit of the movie yet. I might see a little bit before the premiere, but it's going to be it's going to encompass our program, but the story will focus on the trials and tribulations that it took to become varsity, and then moving into how we won our first championship in 1982.
Yeah, I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
And I was at Blue Line one day, and I saw the stacks and stacks of books they're going through of pictures and every single thing that they were scanning in. It was like thousands and thousands of these scans that they had to do. Yeah. Lots.
It's become a labor of love for Tucker and his staff of Blue Line, no doubt. I mean, the amount of energy and time, they're sharp, they're good at what they do, but this is a labor of love that they have. You can see that in so many ways, and in different ways in our program. I mean, people kept saying, "Man, your videos after your games, before your game, how well done are those?" And Patrick, he does a lot of our video, and he's really good at what he does, but he cares. And it means a lot to him to help Indiana soccer. And I think Tucker, being from the Bloomington area and going to games as a kid, going to camp, he's got IU soccer, up here on a pedestal, saying this is a special thing. We got to do this really, really well.
Coach, can't thank you enough. I appreciate you taking the time to come over today. Good luck for the season. We look forward to covering you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coach Todd Jigley joining us. Stay tuned here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back at Bill Armstrong Stadium. We've moved the golf club at Eagle Point Studios north. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you, as always. Michael Avenatti, you remember that name? Yeah. Well, he filed a motion In federal court on Wednesday, well, a motion was filed in federal court on his behalf, alleges corruption and the use of under-the-table payouts to elite high school players within Nike's Elite Youth Basketball Division, the EYBL. In a filing that hints at the allegedly pervasive nature of payments to top prospects in Nike's grassroots system, the document alleges an apparent willingness to pay $35,000 to Zion Williamson and $20,000 to Romeo Langford while they were still in high school. There is no indication either player received the money or was even presented with the deals. Let's get that straight. This is an allegation that Nike was willing to do this. Now, if you remember Michael Avenatti, he's an attorney, but he was charged earlier this year by federal prosecutors in New York with extortion. The feds characterized that he basically tried to shake Nike down by revealing the allegations of corruptions that he's posting here. So I guess he's trying to do this for his own defense. He pleaded not guilty and promised to vigorously defend himself and expose Nike. Vigorously defend himself. Well, how do you not vigorously defend yourself? You can sit there and just half-heartedly do it? The motion to dismiss is a step toward that goal. Among the assertions made in this filing, Nike possessed text messages, emails, and other documents from 2016-17 proving that Nike executives had arranged for and concealed payments, often in cash, to amateur basketball players and their families and/or quote-unquote handlers. Nike EYBL manager Jamal James texted EYBL director Carlton DeBose and Nike recruiting coordinator John Stovall in February 2017, asking whether they would be willing to do whatever may be needed for the Zion Romeo situations, as well as the money we're now going to do for the redacted mention of a player, kid in Michigan. A kid that I believe is on the Michigan team is who that is. And I'm sure that they'll ferret that out. I haven't bothered to figure it out, and I don't care. But Stovall, according to the motion, responded, Langford 20, Zion 35 plus, and the unmentioned Michigan kid who was a minor, 15,000. DeBose responded that he was willing to pay Langford, Zion, and the minor kid from Michigan the 70,000, and that they should stay aggressive while he got creative with the budget, the motion reads. Later, Stovall informed James and DeBose that they still had not presented our new offer to Williamson, but agreed that it was not a good idea to put it in print. Williamson, who hails from South Carolina, played grassroots ball for a team sponsored by multiple shoe companies and then attended Nike flagship school Duke, of course, talk about Zion. Number 1 draft pick in the 2019 draft, signed an endorsement deal with Nike. Langford, who, of course, from New Albany, Indiana, wound up playing under the Adidas umbrella after that company agreed in the winter of 2017 to sponsor an AAU program run by his father. He attended Adidas-sponsored Indiana and was the 14th pick, of course, in this year's draft. So, there you go. Did that clear it up for you? Not really, but. So, the beat goes on. What's that, brother?
The clear as mud.
Exactly. Yeah, the beat goes on, but the Nike thing, there was I don't think there's no concern for fans of Romeo Langford and Indiana. Nothing was done, and nothing was consummated, nothing was offered. Like I said, this is them hatching a plan. This is the plan that Nike was hatching. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can prove if that's actually true. That's not going to affect the players because, again, to my knowledge, at least Romeo's not. I don't think there's nothing there. But Zion, who knows? He ended up staying on the Nike bandwagon. And apparently, if you recall, didn't Adidas offer him a crap load of money? I think they were trying to get him to Kansas or someplace like that. It's been interesting to see how that fares out. We had the opportunity to talk to tons of people over the last couple of days, IU related. IU volleyball. Megan Sloan. She, you should know that name. Her father, Brian Sloan, played on the 1987 National Championship team. Former NBA coach and player, longtime coach of the Utah Jazz. Yeah, big-time names that go deep. We had the opportunity to talk to Megan the other day. Jake, you got that ready? That's okay. That's what I was trying to get your attention there. But it's a unique deal. The connection, but not just IU basketball. There's a deep connection to IU basketball in this volleyball program, but it goes beyond that. You got Jeff Oliphant's daughter. We heard from her yesterday. You've got Brian Sloan's daughter. We're about to hear from her. You got Emily Fitzer, Evan Fitzer's sister. There's another girl that her father played with Fab Five in Michigan. There's another girl whose father played for Judd Heathcote. The only All-American Indiana's ever had is Ashley Benson. Know that name? Kent Benson, 76 undefeated team. I mean, so the ties go deep, but their ties right now to basketball, period. And it's not just basketball, but it just shows that athletic tree, man. And in talking to these players, talking about the competitive nature, and they all talk the same thing. Oh yeah, I know my he's competitive, man. It's a competitive household. It's the same thing that just goes down the line, and it shows this talent is just widespread. But let's hear what Megan Sloan had to say.
How easy of a decision was that for you to come back?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty easy decision for me. Both my parents went to IU. My brother plays at IU. It's a place that I've always wanted to go to school, and I thought that coming here for my senior year was a great opportunity with Coach Steve and all the players on the team. I really love it.
So what's different about IU now? I mean, why did you feel like you could come here?
I think me and Coach's personalities really click well together. He's an awesome coach with a ton of energy, and I think I play really well for a coach like that. And his practices are really high energy and high intensity, and I really like that about him.
How would you describe them? I mean, what's so high energy about him?
His practices are really fast. We're always moving from drill to drill, and we're always everyone on the team has so much energy and communication, and he's just really fun to play for.
You get any stories from your dad about what it was like playing basketball and being an athlete here back in the day?
Yeah, he has a lot of great stories. I mean, obviously winning national championship is probably one of his best stories that he has, but just the bond that he has with his teammates, it just carries on for the rest of his life, and I think that that's something that I have here too.
So when you were a kid, were you coming to kind of basketball sporting events here all the time?
Yeah, all the time.
I mean, it's easy to say with this building, but as somebody who was familiar with IU from a young age, I assume was familiar with IU volleyball from a young age. What's different about this program? We talked about Coach Aaron, but just what looks different in your mind day to day about this program?
I think the energy from practice all the way to the games, it's just a completely different vibe that we have in the gym. The players, I think there's a lot more care, and everyone cares for each other, and we just want to win.
What's the most exciting element of being in a facility like this for you and for the team collectively?
Yeah, I think the fan base is going to be awesome. I think the fans are really going to love it, and it's going to be a great atmosphere to play in.
I mean, you were here in those spring exhibition matches. I mean, there's a decent crowd for a spring exhibition match. I mean, how excited did that get you for what could be coming this fall?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we had a great crowd, and our team was really excited to play in Wilkinson for the first time. I think it's going to bring a lot of energy in the fall, too.
Yeah, and being here in the spring and kind of practice is starting up now in the fall, I mean, what has that transition been like for you, and do you feel comfortable here already?
Yeah, I feel really comfortable. I mean, being here in the spring last semester, I think it's helped me immensely, and just being here this preseason is going to help us a lot and get us really comfortable for the fall.
Actually, these first couple of days of practice, I mean, how well have you started to mesh with some of the girls, I mean, the newcomers, the transfers, and then the returning players?
I think everyone's on the same page. I think we're ready to go. We just got to keep practicing every day.
you feel like there's any kind of learning curve to playing with each other after you've only played with a couple of these girls so far in the spring?
I mean, obviously it takes a little bit to reconnect and get going, but I think that we're off to a great start and it's going to be a fun year.
The competitive.
Megan Sloan, current volleyball player for Indiana University. She actually transferred up from Louisville. She originally from Cathedral High School, but didn't come to Indiana right off. Amazingly, her parents all from here. She's such a deep connection, but she's here now, and as you heard, she's looking forward to that. So great talking to her. Also on the front, the quarterback race continues to go on. Of course, one of the guys that to me it's a 2-horse race now between Michael Penix and Peyton Ramsey. Not that Jack Tuttle's not a quality kid and QB. He's just too far behind, in my opinion. He's only been on campus for a few months. These guys have been here for 1 year and 2 years. So he's just further behind. And if you think it doesn't matter, it does. But he's made up a lot of ground. But I think that going into a 3-man race, when you add that aspect to that, that's just a lot to ask of Jack Tuttle. So especially when you got the incumbent fighting for his job and you got the guy who basically almost replaced him last year, if it wasn't for an injury, would have replaced him last year, fighting for that job. That's a tough hill to overcome. But we talked to Michael Penix about the quarterback race and all that it entails. Let's hear what Michael had to say.
A lot better leading vocally. I became a more vocal leader, pushing the team every single day to come out, compete, do their best, and, just give it all out for the team.
Seem real comfortable in knowing what's supposed to be done by everybody on every play, and from that leadership standpoint, I've seen a few times where you've been able to get on receivers a little bit for breaking the wrong way or running the wrong route. Is that you feel comfortable with that now to make sure you can stand up and say what you need to say?
Yes, sir.
To get better.
Very comfortable. That comes with some experience from last year. Got to play. That comes with just meeting every single day. Working together. We have officer meetings, so we're all on each other, make sure we're pushing each other to be the best offense in the Big Ten and in the country.
Does the competition bring that out in you at all? Like knowing I have to be a vocal leader if I want to be able to lead this football?
Yeah, always, football is a competitive sport. It's always, everything is around competition. Just being a vocal leader, that's the thing that you need on your team. Every single team, you need a vocal leader. If you don't have that, then you can't just always depend on the coaches to step up. You need each other. You need to push each other to do better every single day.
Obviously, all three guys are fighting for their starting job. From this point forward, what do you think you have to do to get that number one spot?
No, just focus on my game. Just continue to work hard, do what's best for the team. That's all.
Right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks.
There's Michael Penix with some great comments. Says this race is heating up. And to me, it is a 2-man race between Michael Penix and Peyton Ramsey. I think that this week, and it's hard to say this has been a critical week, but because they've been instituting new plays here of late, and it made it a little tricky for the guys, at least on Tuesday when we were there for practice last. Don't know what went on, what's going to go on today because we're not allowed to attend that practice. Back able to tomorrow. But they're having a scrimmage on Saturday. I don't think that scrimmage is open, but we'll see. If it is, that would be great because they opened up the last one without telling anybody. It's a secret open scrimmage. But I think this scrimmage that comes on Saturday is going to go. I mean, you can't put a lot on one day, but I think that's going to be kind of a getting close to wrapping things up. Now, if there hasn't been separation, then not. But I know that they would like to name the guy as soon as possible to get that guy in with the number one team from that day forth. Because a lot of times right now, Peyton Ramsey gets a lot of the one snaps because he's at the top of the depth chart. Officially, even though it is an open race. So it's going to be interesting to see how soon they do name this quarterback. The sooner the better for the team. I know a lot of the fans certainly want to see Michael Penix with good reason. Peyton Ramsey's a great kid, but we've seen the Peyton Ramsey show for 2 years. And it was okay. But it was just that, okay. It's going to have to be better than okay to be better than 5-7. Okay gets you mediocrity, and mediocrity gets you 5-7. Now, one caveat to that is that was under Mike DeBoring, or DeBoard if you prefer. A very, very vanilla, uncreative, uninspiring, and unsuccessful run. Kalen DeBoer, I wish he had a different last name. Golly, it's too close. It's too close. But Kalen DeBoer, on the other hand, has shown that when he goes someplace, he adds about 10 to 15 points a game to their bottom line. You give that to Indiana, hell, that's an 8-win season off the bat for last year's team. That was mediocre at best. We'll see. Hey, we got a lot more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat. On the program today, Matt Weaver from Peegs.com joins us here in this next hour, along with CNHI's IU beat writer, Kevin Brockway. We'll hear from more players as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Graham. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along. Welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always. Jigs at the wheel, keeping things on the track. On the program today, we get back to a little bit normal schedule. Matt Weaver is usually on with us on Wednesdays, but we were out at Bill Armstrong Stadium live yesterday with the soccer program. So Matt joins us today from Peegs.com. We'll pick up a little conversation there. Also, CNHI's IU beat writer Kevin Brockway joined us. We'll get him on and we'll talk some football and basketball. A lot of things to get to. The little news in basketball as some big news broke with Nike and allegations by lawyer Michael Avenatti against those guys. Michael Avenatti, if you remember, was charged with trying to extort Nike over allegations that they may have done some nefarious things. And now a motion has been filed in federal court that alleges Nike had agreed in principle to fund high school basketball players to try to get them in the fold. But I don't know, is what they're even alleging illegal? They're trying to get them to be Nike. There's no mention of trying to get them to schools or to do certain things, but the allegations show that they were willing to pay Zion Williamson $35,000, Romeo Langford $20,000, an unnamed Michigan player $15,000. But that's just allegations that Nike was willing to do that. There's no talk of a conversation ever being had with the players. And on top of that, for Romeo Langford, it's even more exacerbated by the fact that he wasn't even he played for at least his last AAU season for an AAU team sponsored by Adidas that was run by his father before going on to an Adidas school. Now, Zion Williamson, however, did go to a Nike-sponsored school at Duke, and his name popped up before because there was allegations that Adidas was trying to get Zion to an Adidas school. But there's not the allegations are that Avenatti has text messages of conversations between these Nike guys. But again, I'm sitting here, I'm wondering, what is the crime that they committed? They talked about trying to get guys, they just wanted them into their shoe brand. So I'm not sure there's even amidst those allegations that there's a law being broken. A black eye certainly will be imposed upon Nike, and I think it would probably bring forth some sanctions against them. But that's about it on the deal there. So text into the show, Courier Journal headline, Nike wanted to pay Romeo $20,000. Really? Yes. Well, that's what they do, man. They got to get you to read. They're trying to get you to read. You can listen here and just hear the truth already. I just told you. Didn't cost you anything. I just told you the truth. Just told you what it was. Just told you how it went. But, newspapers do stupid things like post former coaches' addresses in the paper when they're moving back to town. Idiocy. But that's that. And that's about all of that. Who cares? How about Ohio State? Whenever you hear Ohio State, you see former players on TV or like current players on the like when they're doing the NFL announcements for teams and they show the players, Sutton Scruggs from the Ohio State University, blah, 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 blah. They're trying to get a trademark patent, or not a patent, but a trademark on the word the Ohio State University, which again cracks me up Because shouldn't they be getting a trademark on the word the? Because they don't say the, they say the. The Ohio State University. Well, isn't that THEE? It's a separate word. Am I correct, Jake?
I don't think so. I think the and the are
Really? So isn't the in the Bible?
I mean, the THEE is another word, but the.
Okay, well, when you say the Ohio State University, what are you saying?
THE.
How do you know? How do you differentiate?
I mean, it's just the way you pronounce it. I don't think there's any grammatical rules for it. I mean, I think it's just preference.
I guess because the can be personal possessive, maybe. I don't know. We need an English teacher on here now. It's beyond my, that's out of my wheelhouse. It's beyond, well, it's not in my wheelhouse. I've got a degree in speech communication, but I don't remember the exact rule between the and the, but just because the can refer to the as a personal possessive. So who knows? But anyway, it's stupid regardless. It's stupid regardless. Nobody should be able to trademark the and a anything like that. It's ridiculous. But there are certain schools that are just ridiculous. Ohio State also, I saw a media member just get a job on that side of the Ohio State side, and in writing the description, they crossed out all the M's. I'm like, okay, cute, not. Because the M's for Michigan, they don't use the word M because of Michigan. Cute, but not really. Really isn't, I think. But not a lot of word from Indiana basketball. Of course, the biggest news right now, well, two biggest news. Waiting to see. They have 2 more scholarships open. Who's gonna snag those? Will anyone snag those? Because I don't believe that they are targeted any in-state players, any more in-state players for this class. They're certainly looking at people like Caleb Love, who is a 5-star point guard. He's narrowed his choices to 6 schools, of course. That happened a few weeks ago. Apparently trying to schedule official visits now. Said he plans to visit all 6 of them, which, if that's the case, one of those will have to be on his own dime. You're only allowed 5 official visits. And I'm thinking on top of that, really? You seriously don't know between 6 damn schools? I mean, you can't narrow it down to 5? Works for everybody else. But he'll have to pay his own dime to go on a quote-unquote official visit, I believe, for his 6th school. You only get the 5. Now, apparently he's made several unofficial visits to Indiana. It's a good sign. And it's also, Indiana's in desperate need of another point guard. They have 1 on the roster. Now, being this kid's a 5-star, probably going to be thinking he wants to play right away. That's going to be difficult to do when you're going to have Rob Finney coming back for his sophomore campaign. He is just a sophomore, right? I was getting confused. He seems like he's been here for a long while now. But you got a seasoned Rob Finney who played the entire season as a freshman, who got all of that experience, and who should be really ready to come out firing as the point guard. I think that's going to be difficult to land a 5-star point guard. They're going to want to play right now. I mean, we'll find out, but again, it just common sense. Common sense, folks. It's easy. This is like rudimentary math. I'm not good with math, but I can add 2 and 2. And I can add 5 as a 5-star. He's going to want to play. We'll see how it works out. Hopefully so. But Archie's been trying, and Archie's been trying to get a backup point guard for 2 years without success. surprised that you can't land a position player over the course of 2 seasons. That says maybe you're going for things that you can't get. It'd be like me trying to get a date with a pretty girl. Very difficult. Very difficult. We'll see how that works out, though. We got Matt Weaver coming up with us. Kevin Brockway from CNHI, the IU beat writer as well. Stay tuned. We're back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, joined now by one of our favorites, most informative men on the plan, Matt Weaver from Peegs.com. Matt, how are you, brother?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
Going fine, going well. We're kind of deep into fall football camp now, about, I guess, kind of the halfway point. And when I tell people that this quarterback race is a true race, it is. I mean, I think that they may start to see who they have in mind, but I'm not sure that yet. I think this is a two-man race between Peyton Ramsey and Michael Penix, only because Jack Tuttle is just simply further behind. He's only been here several months as opposed to 1 and 2 years. And so I think that that's going to help them with some separation there. But here of late, they've been adding new plays, so we haven't really gotten to see guys at their full potential, and that's made it even more, a little more cloudier. But they're going to have to come to a decision soon. I think they're going to use this scrimmage on Saturday as a barometer, possibly.
Yeah, I would think so. And I mean, we're about to the point where, obviously, Saturday will be 2 weeks. I think I have that right.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. So, we were getting to the point where it's, you want to get it out of the way. So that last week and a half, you got one guy who's, who's getting the lion's share of the reps, as the first team quarterback and getting that rhythm and everything down with the rest of the team as far as the plays and all that. So, I say that on my board. Some people were kind of dubious. Well, is it, is it it's neck to neck, in my opinion. I mean, when you watch practice, you've been there, they're splitting the reps almost 50-50 with the first team. It's a tight battle. My thought process on it is, and it's obviously my decision to make, but you had one quarterback who's got game experience, 15 practice head start, and Michael Penix caught him in basically a week. And to me, the schedule sets up perfectly for a young, inexperienced quarterback that doesn't have a lot of game reps, because you start off with two relatively, I don't want to say easy, but easier games, manageable games, very manageable games. And to me, man, if you don't get him a lot of reps in those first two games, it just seems like you're kind of stunting his growth as a quarterback.
I agree exactly. I think it is neck and neck. As a matter of fact, I've been grading on the 10-point must system each day, and I've got Ramsey just slightly ahead, but that's only because I gave him the wins for the last two. That one was a result of a tie, and so I gave it to him as the incumbent. And then the other day we saw practice that was just not really all that great by anybody because they're instituting new plays. So other than that, it's just dead even. But you've got Michael Penix with the things that you just added on the addition of he's got a much higher ceiling. He's got an upside that Peyton Ramsey just simply doesn't have, the ability to get that ball downfield. We saw that against Penn State last year. But that's an intangible that has to go into that. So, and he brings a dynamic to the offense, I think, that separates him just in that alone.
Yeah, and to me, you hear about we're going to put the best guy out there to help us win games, and I get that. But are you trying to put the best guy out there to win over Ball State and Eastern Illinois, or the best guy who can maybe beat, who can beat Northwestern, or go to Penn State and maybe pull an upset, or something like that? Win at Maryland. All these games that. Who's the best guy for that job? And, let's be honest, they could probably put me at quarterback and win the first two games. It may be ugly, but they could still probably do it. To me, you don't, if Peyton Ramsey's just slightly ahead at the end of when there's time to make a decision, to me, like I said, Penix has caught him, or pretty much caught him after being way, way behind. So, that tells me one guy has kind of hit a ceiling and one guy still has a ways to go to his ceiling. I'm playing the guy that still has the ceiling left to hit in these first two games. My thing is if Michael Penix these first two games kind of struggles, doesn't play great, you're kind of concerned about it. Ramsey has shown that you can put him in midstream. You can play him midstream in the season and throw him into the game. They did that a couple years ago. Maybe you can do that with Michael Penix. We just don't know. We haven't seen it really. I mean, when he played last year, it was more, controllable situations where the game was close or they had a lead or something like that. It wasn't they just put him in and said, you're the guy. So I would feel more comfortable starting with Penix. And if it didn't work out, switch it to Ramsey, then the other way around, just because you don't know what you're going to get from Penix if you go to him, 2 or 3 games into the season. But, it's their decision. They'll make what they think is best for the team. But we've seen it, and it's, I think the world of Peyton Ramsey. I just think there's a hard ceiling on what he can do. And with Penix, I think it's a higher thing. Now, maybe his floor is lower, and that's something to consider, but I don't think it's that much lower, to be perfectly honest. I mean, as good as Peyton Ramsey did last year, he still threw 13 interceptions against only 19 touchdowns. So, barely like a 1.5 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio, and his yards per completion was one of the lowest in the Big Ten. So it's not like he put up otherworldly stats. They were good stats, but they're not like it was a, all conference type of season.
I agree. And I think that we saw, and I hate to keep referencing the Penn State game, but it's only really good barometer he had, but Michael Penix made an impact instantly against their defense. It was like, whoa, it stretched them immediately. And it just shows the respect that he commanded because of the arm strength that he has. And with the receiving core that Indiana has, that's something that could be very, very beneficial to an offense that could be pretty daggone prolific. They've got so many good pieces in place. As long as the offensive line can do the job that they need to do, this could be a prolific offense.
Yeah, and it's just not. And you mentioned the deep ball, and that's part of it. To me, the bigger throw is those what I call the intermediate throws that are like, maybe 15 to 20, 25 yards, and the throws where, or maybe even ones that are 12 yards, where you're on the left hash and you've got a third and 8, and you got to run a 10-yard out route to the far sideline, and that ball's got to be in there like that. And if it's any kind of loft put on, it's either going to be knocked down or possibly picked off. That's the difference between the two, in my opinion. I don't think Ramsey has the arm to make that throw. Against Eastern Illinois and Ball State and UConn, Rutgers maybe, but against Michigan State, Penn State, even a Maryland or Northwestern or somebody's, that throw, you got to be able to make that. You got to be able to keep moving the chains. You're not always going to be in 3rd and 2s. Hopefully you are, but you're just not. And you got to be able to make that throw to a tight window when you just don't have a lot of space, and you got to get rid of it. And you got to basically throw what I would call like a frozen rope. It's got to be right in there. It's got to be a BB into a little window. And that's where I think he struggles. I mean, he's thrown some good go balls, and he's obviously got some short game accuracy, but those intermediate throws are just as important. And that's where last year they were kind of either a short throw team or 30, 40 yards down the field. There wasn't a lot of intermediate stuff. And that's where your tight ends and your slot receivers come into play. And if you can't make those throws, man, it makes it tough on your offense.
Absolutely. Bill texts in, he's in so agreement with what Matt says about the quarterback spot. I am too. It's exactly true. And that passage you're talking about there from the right side hash mark to the left side of the field, Penix's arm strength gets the ball faster there, so that kind of deflates the defense, keeps the offense on the offensive, and allows them to do some things differently that they didn't really have that capability of. It also, when that ball takes too long to get there, that gives the defense a lot better chance of picking that ball off. But Penix's arm strength, it's not all about going downfield. It's about how quickly he can make plays happen faster, which when a play happens faster, you're going to probably get more yards out of it. So that low percentage that you talked about, it allows the defense to set up a little quicker before the ball gets into play. But there's more to going on in the quarterback side of things too. We have to look at the defense, and the defensive line is going to have to they're going to have to do some things with guys that maybe don't have as much experience. That's probably the least experienced unit on the team, I'm going to guess, Matt.
Yeah, and I would really say the D tackle on the D end, you got a decent, with Alan Stallings, Gavin Everett, Michael Ziemba, James Head, even Lance Bryant has played here and there. He's not totally inexperienced. So the DN spot, I think he's got a little bit more experience. But yeah, inside, other than Jerome Johnson, he's the only guy that's really played an entire season of college football. I mean, Juan Harris a couple of years ago when he was a true freshman played in a few games and then got hurt and was redshirted, and then obviously played at the junior college level last year. And then DeMarcus Elliott's another guy who's at least played past high school. Now, I do think while they lost a lot of experience with the loss of, the guys they had inside last year, I think the talent level has increased. I think Juan Harris and DeMarcus. So, I mean, in my opinion, if those guys were here, last year and they were sophomores, or, even maybe I think they play ahead of some of those guys that played last year. That's not a knock on them. It's just these guys are bigger, they're stronger. I think they're a little bit more talented, more physically gifted. But yeah, there is still some unknown. You're gonna rotate a lot of guys. I mean, Coach Higgins mentioned playing. I think last year, he said he played 10 guys. And I want to say it might have been inside. Maybe it was for the entire line, but he played a lot of guys. And I would expect the same this year. And guys like CO, C.J. Person, those guys. Bo Robbins, seems like he's having a really good camp. Then you got some redshirt freshmen. Jonathan King has flashed to me. Shamar Jones, another guy. Gavin McCabe inside. So they've got some pieces, But to me, the really important position, Juan and DeMarcus can do a good job at the nose, and then you rotate in a young guy maybe every once in a while. Jerome Johnson's a terrific player at the 3 tech, and that's going to free up him and Jonathan King and some of these other guys to really be disruptive up the middle. And, I think they'll be better in the middle, but still, until we see it, it's kind of a little bit of an unknown.
Hey, what's CO's last name?
I don't know. Walnut calls him CO Nofo. So that's what I'm. The defensive coordinator can't say his name either. So if he can't say it, I don't feel like I have to.
Oh, just messing with Matt. He's got one of those names that's, man, you look at it, you're like, oh crap, heck with that. And you look at thank God
it's a name that you wish you could use in Scrabble.
I'm telling you, man, it'll get you some points. But for some reason, it comes easy for me. Nafoa got to Totoa. I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't know why, but normally I can't. Normally I'm like butchering it. But his name, for some reason, I just laugh because everybody is, every coach calls him CO. I mean, and of course, you mentioned Womack really gave him that. We were talking to him one day and I heard him say that. I'm like, ooh, that's easy. That's a good one. But and talk about the lines, of course, that the defensive line we just talked about is going to be critical to how well the defense can do, but also on the offensive line, they're looking pretty good. I just don't know about their depth. And Michael Bedford's the guy you asked about the other day in the press conference about him being redshirted or not, and Coach Allen says, no, he's not going to get redshirted.
Yeah, and I have no idea what their plan is with him. But I tell you what, if it was me, and this is they did this, Kevin Wilson did this, Brandon Ice first year, I might think about putting a tight end number on Matthew Bedford and making him part of my 2 tight end sets, because that kid can really play. And my thing is, here's the thing: if you're going to play Matthew Bedford, and that's fine, you got to play him. You can't play him like a handful of snaps every game, and basically his this year is not really much of an impact year. I'm not saying he's got to be a starter, but I think he's got to be out there for a decent amount of snaps so you get your money's worth, so to speak. I mean, that if it was me, I'd think about doing that. I really would. Now, maybe he's good enough that it shuffles the line. I would be surprised because this is a pretty veteran line except for right tackle, and Caleb Jones looks like he's having a pretty good camp. I don't think he's in any danger of losing his spot. At least I haven't seen anything to make me believe that, but I would, at tight end, Gary Cooper went down. I mean, he's going to come back, but it's not, you're one injury away at tight end from being a little bit thin. You got Peyton Hendershot, Matt Bjorson, TJ Ivey right now, and then Ryan Barnes for a walk-on has looked pretty good. But, I would seriously think about maybe putting a tight end number on Matthew Bedford and sticking him out there. And I tell you what, you put him next to Coy Cronk and Harry Kreider on the left side, you could have some fun running the ball.
I'm telling you, man, he is a big dude, but athletic. And that's the thing that I'm seeing. That's another thing to ask you. You've seen these guys a lot longer than me. You go back to your days as manager. Not only the depth, but the size and the athletic ability of that size has increased so much for this Indiana football team. And it's something you can physically see. You look out there and you're like, man, those guys are imposing, but they're big. They're not, back in the days, the linemen were the big fat guys. That ain't this, man. These guys are big athletes. They're big and they are mobile.
Yeah, when I go back to the summer before Jason Spriggs' senior year when he was in high school and he came down to camp, they camped in the stadium, in Memorial Stadium, and I was down there watching him, and he was 6'7", 200, maybe 45, 50, maybe 55 pounds, basically like a tight end, but they were playing him at tackle, and his feet were just incredible. I mean, you could see his feet, how light they were, and that's what Matthew Bedford looks like, but Matthew Bedford looks that way at 307 pounds. And as you know, I mean, he is. I've seen a lot of linemen in Indiana, and it's been a spot that's been very difficult. It's very difficult for schools like Indiana to get linemen, just because there's not a big supply. I mean, there's a lot of receivers and DBs and running backs out there. There's not a lot of guys who are 6'6" and can move like he can, and the ones that can usually don't go to Indiana. Unfortunately, they go to the bigger schools. And I said it on signing day when he signed. I thought it was the biggest get they got, because this is the kind of kid that they struggle to get. And he looks like if he stays healthy, he's got a real shot to be a next level player. I think he's that good.
And that kind of brings to mind a recruit that they're waiting to hear from right now that kind of falls into that same gap, Deontay Craig from Culver, because this is the kid that's got an offer from the basketball team to be able to play basketball as well. So that tells you the kind of athletic ability that kid has.
Yeah, and I've seen Deontay play football. I've seen him play basketball. Obviously, he's a solid basketball player. He's really good in football. I mean, he got long arms. He's got a frame. I mean, he can play. He plays both ways at his school at Culver, and he could play. I think he could play tight end in college. Now, he'd be a better defensive player, but it wouldn't be a stretch that you could play him as a tight end in college because he's got pretty good hands. He moves really well, but as a DN, he could be a devastating type player for you, especially as a pass rusher. I mean, he's just got that. In basketball, I think where basketball helps with his feet and his quickness and his athleticism. That stuff really translates well over to football. And, Indiana seems to be in prime position for him, but Iowa's still right there. Until it's done, it's not done. So, but it would be a really, really, really huge get. I mean, Indiana, this staff has done. I don't think there's anything else they could have done, they could do to get him. So if it doesn't work out, I don't think there's anything. They've recruited the heck out of him. They were one of his first offers. I think they were his second offer. And they've built a great relationship. It's just trying to convince him that, IU's the right place for him. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He would be a monster get for this program.
And for people that follow, the ratings, he's a 3-star, and so you can't say only 3-star. But for a 3-star, the impact is much, much higher than that. Getting him would be a big time get. So, and it's bigger than just getting another 3-star for some reason. His talent level is above that. Why he's not really? He should be listed as a 4-star, but his abilities are higher than what he's rated.
Yeah, and one thing about the rankings, I mean, I've always said, and I think the guys who do football rankings do a good job, but it's tough. It's it's not an apples to apples comparison because you're not seeing guys go against each other. Like guys who do basketball rankings, you're seeing, like Romeo Langford and whoever in an AAU tournament, they go against each other. It's real life, these guys might be in a camp together, but it's not football. They're not in pads. So it can be tough. And a lot of times these really good players, they're by far the best player on the field. The guy they're going against is, giving up 60, 70 pounds. To me, once you get into that low 4-star range to 3-star, you could put a lot of these guys in a hat and pull them out. There's not a lot of difference. I mean, look at Micah McFadden last year. He was one of the lowest rated recruits in last year's recruiting class, and he was one of the best freshmen on that team. I mean, that's, I'm not saying that's going to happen all the time, but, I think sometimes people see a .83 and then a .87 or .88, whatever it may be. I don't think there's a big difference. And now it looks like that in the ratings, but I don't think it's a big difference. I mean, it's just somehow these guys have to get slotted where they get slotted, and then it's, beauty's in the eye of the beholder and all that. But it's, to me, you could put them in a hat, pull them out, and there's not a whole lot of different. And Deontay Craig is probably just as good as a guy who's got a .91 rating as a 4-star. I think he's like .87 something. He's a real high 3-star. There's not a big difference. He's, like you said, you could make a really strong case that he should be a 4-star player. I think he's an outstanding football prospect, and Indiana it'd be great for them to land him.
Yeah, football is especially a sport that the growth, the learning curve, and the ceiling is much bigger than, say, basketball or whatever. So there's so much more room for growth. So it almost doesn't even matter what their rankings are. But we'll certainly find out. Matt, you got anything coming up that the folks need to know about on Peegs.com?
I put a story out yesterday, actually, on an athlete from Georgia, John Tavis Robertson. It's a guy that Indiana seems to be pretty high on. They sent him an official offer, which, if folks don't know, there's all these guys tweet out offers. Well, an official offer is what they can send out on August 1st, and that is when you're serious. A lot of schools send out verbal offers, but an official offer makes it official. I mean, that means it's a real deal. So they sent him one. So it's a guy they obviously like. He can play receiver or DB. But it's still on our front page, and it's interesting. They got 3 receivers kind of, but Javon Swinton from Virginia could go to DB. But you can never have too many of these 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1" athletes. Who have got great ball skills. You can play in the corner, safety, receiver. You just find places for them. I don't think you can have too many of those guys on your team. Those are the guys that make plays for you. So, and then going forward, just have some coverage from camp. As we get availability and stuff, I'll have a story out, I think, today on the tight ends after talking to Coach Sheridan on Tuesday. So I look forward to that. But just, just some coverage on the team, and recruiting has slowed down just a little bit just because they're almost full. There's not a whole lot of spots left, so it's kind of in a holding pattern for Indiana. They're waiting on some guys, like we mentioned Deontay Craig, and there's some other guys out there, some linemen that they're just kind of waiting on. So it's kind of a holding pattern for right now, but it's not a bad thing to almost have your class done before the season starts. That's makes it a little bit easier during the season to recruit. So that's kind of what folks can look for on our site.
Sounds great. Matt Weaver, we always love him to death. The Dream Weaver from Peegs.com. Make sure you check out everything that he does because it's great. Matt, thank you so much, brother.
Okay, appreciate it, guys. Take care.
You betcha. Thanks, Matt Weaver. We got a lot more coming up. Kevin Brockway, IU's beat writer from CNHI, is going to join us next. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Allows us to take our shots when they're there. And like I said, the three of us on Sunday, we were all hitting them. And that's kind of been a constant theme throughout fall camp. We've all been really consistent. We've all been playing really well. So very excited about Coach DeBoer's offense.
That was Peyton Ramsey talking about Coach DeBoer's offense that they're putting in. Joined now by Kevin Brockway, you beat writer from CNHI Papers. Kevin, how are you, sir?
Good. Wasn't that my question about the deep shots, right?
It was.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think that's the big thing when you're looking at this quarterback competition is, who's going to be able to make the plays downfield. And right now, Penix is showing that he's been able to do that.
Yeah, we just had Matt Weaver on from Peegs.com talking about that very thing, that the quarterback race, it's tight no matter what. But he made a great point that, because of the injury, he was a little behind, but in short order, he caught up with Peyton Ramsey. So to make it a neck and neck race, because Peyton Ramsey had the advantage, obviously he's the incumbent, but he was also not the guy that was out with a knee injury all last year. But Michael Penix caught up to him in very, very short order. And then the fact that Michael Penix is the guy that can get a team downfield, but he can also do things like make that opposite hash 15-yard out throw across the field in a much, much shorter time span that does not allow the defense to break on the ball as much. So there's just some differences, that intangibles that separate the two. But other than that, it's been a pretty close race.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, when you talk about catching up to the fact that Peyton did have that spring, in terms of working with DeBoer's offensive terminology. But I think Penix is, acquitted himself pretty well, particularly in the last week in regards to leading the offense. And I'm, like I said, it's going to be, these next 10 or 12 days are going to be really interesting. And I think a lot of fun to see, who rises to the top here and who Tom Allen and Kalen DeBoer trust to be the guy. And it'll be interesting to see, too. I mean, if it goes into the Ball State game where you just play both guys a half, I don't think that ideally that's what Kalen DeBoer, Tom Allen wants. But if it's neck and neck, maybe you do that.
Yeah, I think that they've got to make an investment in the bigger picture. And with Peyton Ramsey, I think what you're getting. I think that he's at his ceiling right now. He's already there. He's been there. And that I haven't seen that really change. I'm sure he's improved some, but I think he is where he is. And while Michael Penix might have as Matt said, a bigger basement, his ceiling is so much higher. The things he can do is just, you can't compare those two, and that makes a difference. And I keep hearkening back to the Penn State game, but it was the only true game where we got to see him against that level of competition. But man, when he came in, you saw the reaction of their defense. Wow, they had to back up. He backed them up real quickly, and they had to respect that. And I think that he brings that, but he's got to get those reps, and he needs to be the guy in that very first game. He's got to be getting the snaps, getting that offense down smoother so they can move on to the next game, because the third game's Ohio State. And if they want to truly have a shot at beating Ohio State, they need to be at their best, not at their mediocre that they're going to change later. So I think it's imperative that Penix gets that start and is able to start improving immediately.
Yeah, you definitely make good points there with regards to that. I just think that it's going to be interesting to see, does Tom Allen take the safe bet and go with Ramsey based on the fact that it's year 3. There could be a mandate to make a bowl game after 2 5-7 seasons. Or do you, take a chance with the unknown and go with the guy who you feel like, looks the best in practice but doesn't have the same game experience?
I say absolutely he doesn't, because he did it last year and it didn't work. With a more favorable schedule set up last year, it didn't work. And on top of that, he brought Michael Penix in because it wasn't working. Now, Michael Penix went down with an injury, but had he not, I think he would have been the starter last year after that Penn State game. But I think that because of what went on and with back-to-back 5 and 7 seasons, you can't do the same thing and expect different results. So therefore, I think Michael Penix is the guy that ends up getting the job.
I guess, we're going to see. It's going to be pretty interesting. And, I think the other thing about Penix too is he's talked to us about the knee. He said the knee feels good. And I think that's pretty remarkable in and of itself, that you're talking about a guy that really came back from rehab in 9-10 months, basically, really, worked hard at it. And he talked to us a lot in media day about his approach and his diligence to it. And even in times when he was in pain, he really pushed himself. He wanted to be part of this quarterback battle in the fall and really put the work in to get the knee back to where it's 100% and he trusts it. So that's a tip of the cap to Michael Penix for doing that as well.
Absolutely. So we'll certainly see as this progresses. They've got a scrimmage scheduled for Saturday, so we'll see how it goes after that. You were out at yesterday. You were out at men's quote unquote media day for men's soccer. I was up at Bill Armstrong Stadium doing the show live, and fortunately Todd Yeagley came up and visited with us during the show after practice. But I did not get the chance to attend down there and talk to the guys and all that. How did that go?
No, I think it went pretty good. I think there's a lot of, feeling of, some new pieces with regards to the team, but a lot of feelings in terms of chemistry, like, obviously establishing, that chemistry right away. They've been doing a lot of kind of team building activities over the off season. And I think there's a feeling of, the fact that, this program, obviously with the tradition, with the national championships, very high expectations, and wanting to go out and meet those expectations, and having a chance to talk to Jack Mayer, communication and the back end and defense is going to be very important with him, and obviously the new goalkeeper Sean Caulfield aligning the defense, and as you know, for Indiana soccer, I mean, defense has carried them in the past, and it's probably what's going to be able to carry them this year.
Is that John's son?
Who? Caulfield?
No, Jack Mayer.
Jack Mayer. Oh, yeah. Maybe. Perhaps.
Slow on the uptake today, Kevin. Come on, get with it, baby. It's coffee time. Also, big news in basketball with the allegations by lawyer Michael Avenatti in regards to Nike and their hatched plan that didn't come to fruition, but with thoughts of payments going to their plan was to pay players like Zion Williamson, Romeo Langford, et cetera, et cetera. No mention that this stuff ever even came to fruition, of course, especially Romeo, somebody, he was an Adidas guy and went in a different direction. But it's just funny now that because Nike had avoided all of the exposure or notoriety it's been mostly Adidas getting pounded during those FBI corruption trials, but now a little crack in the shield for the Nike shield.
Yeah, a claim of a $20,000 payment to Romeo Langford.
It was an intent. It was not. There was no payment.
And an attempted payment. To Zion Williamson as well.
Well, not attempted. These were not attempts. This was just a plan that they were supposedly hatching, but there was no indication that it ever even got to that point of attempting. But the sheer fact that there may be documents between these Nike guys talking about the intent to do that, that could be damning to Nike in some way.
No question. Document alleges an apparent willingness to pay $35,000 to Zion Williamson and $20,000 to Romeo Langford, but no indication that either player received money or was presented the deal. So it's a little bit of smoke, not much fire there, but certainly Romeo's name being tied into it is obviously something that IU fans, I think that given the ties to Adidas, are probably not, as concerned about. But Romeo's obviously moved on. He's with the Celtics now, and obviously trying to get healthy. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, text into the show from Tim asking about football, asking about how special teams look and the fact we have a new long snapper. How's he working out? Man, that dude is Sean Ratcher. He's replacing Dan Gottsel, who's an All-American, but they're replacing him with a high school All-American, and you can tell. I was watching him snap that ball the other day. It took like 0.2 seconds to get from the snap to the holder. That dude his snaps are tight, crisp, and they are fast.
Yeah, no question. And he came out of, highly regarded out of, the Colts kicking camp and so forth. And, we had a chance to talk to him over the summer. And special teams is tremendously important, as we know, in terms of, winning football games. And he's got that mentality of, wanting to be the best. Operation time is tremendously important when it comes to, getting off field goals and getting off punts. And he looks like a guy that is going to be able to step in right away and replace Gotzel and not miss a beat.
Hey, absolutely. The funny thing is, we got to meet with the William Enns, the special teams coach, the other day, and there was a time. If you haven't seen the video clip, you know how they're always doing these trick shots. Hayden Whitehead, Indiana's Australian punter, is also the holder for place kicks. And I saw him do a trick shot where they snap it to him, and he held it with his nose. Somebody asked about William Enns, asked him about that the other day. Let's hear what he had to say.
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily say concerned, but I told him at least your nose ring came in handy. Because the one thing that they take our craft very serious. And that's what you want. So they can do a lot of things that you don't get to see on camera that are pretty unique and pretty specific to the group. I was just hoping that I thought we were going to have to deal with, at the worst, a broken nose. And I said, well, if you got a broken nose and it's facing to the left a little bit, hey, welcome to America, man.
That's Coach William Enns just making light of that video that they shot. But it was a pretty cool deal. But, yeah, their special teams are very, very important, and they're kind of solid. They got Logan Justice coming back, second-year guy. And I remember talking to him last year, and the thing that struck me is this dude's got a resting heartbeat of like 20. He is just so mild. Not mild-mannered is like saying he's ADHD. He's below mild-mannered. I mean, his demeanor is so, which is amazing for a kicker because you need to be able to just block that stuff out. I don't think that guy has the ability to get nervous, which is something you want in a guy that's got to kick a 50-yarder.
Yeah, and he's a guy that's a Groza Award on the Groza Award watch list. Certainly a very talented guy, and someone that when you have those kind of games that come down late, you're going to need a guy that's kind of calm, cool, collected, has that ability to kind of zone things out, zone out distractions. I mean, how many times when you go to some of these road places that road stadiums that you go to in the Big Ten. Certainly, and they're going to be going to Michigan State early in the season. They're going to be some tough environments, and you're going to need to kick in those environments. And, the other factor up here, too, is the weather. I'm sure as it gets into November and, October, a lot of colder, blustery days to be able to hit those shots through the uprights.
Cold, blustery in Bloomington? Never. Oh, man. Yeah, please don't even remind me. You can't wait for you to get a taste of it, Mr. Florida Sunshine.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it affects the football, too, because, from years of covering SEC football where the elements are, you have the heat and humidity in September, and that can affect some teams. But, watching these teams in October and November on those kind of, blustery, maybe sleety kind of days, it's going to be fun to watch the football there and see how it impacts, even how guys play. I mean, or if you're facing a hurricane west wind, as they say in the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, right? If you're facing one of those big winds, do you throw it as much? You just, pound it on the ground. And, there's so many good Big Ten running backs. And that's where, you might see the depth of Indiana's running backs come into play. Guys like Stevie Scott and Cole Guest and, Samson James. You might have to pound the rock a lot on a day like that where the wind is blowing.
Absolutely. Not much going on in the basketball world. Of course, Caleb Love is about set to make his visits known, but the assistant coach has not been named yet, so nothing on that. They've kept that thing tighter than a drum. I know you've got some stories that have been coming out and are coming out. What are you working on that the people need to know about?
Well, we're going to have a story about football facilities throughout the Big Ten, including Indiana. And obviously they opened the Talon Complex this week, which is a big step forward in terms of the locker room. And Tom Allen has talked a lot about, kind of getting that locker room right as kind of the first step in their facilities plans. So I think that'll be interesting down the line. Also trying to talk to some recruiting analysts about the makeup of the class so far. And obviously Anthony Leal committing on Friday to go with Trey Galloway, and just what Archie is building for the 2020 class, and how he's getting more of the in-state kids, which is what we've talked about. But perhaps beyond that, just the need for that really that guy in the class that's really going to be kind of the bell cow, that top 50 type player, possible McDonald's All-American, which, they've got the last two Indiana Mr. Basketballs who are both McDonald's All-Americans. I think there's going to be a debate as to, Leal, certainly is in the running for Mr. Basketball, but is he McDonald's All-American? Is he a top 50 type guy? Right now, he's not rated that way. So you might need that kind of player, or you hope that Leal develops into that kind of player.
We will certainly find out, brother. Thank you very much. Look forward to it. I'm sure we'll see you today when we're out to talk to Tom Allen later in the day.
All right, thank you.
You bet. That's Kevin Brockway, IU beat writer from CNHI paper, joining us here on the program. And it was a good one today. We're not quite done, but just about there. Matt Weaver was with us earlier. Tomorrow is Friday. TGIF. We get to hear from the Todd father. See what Todd Leary's been up to. Looking forward to that. Also, Tom Brew from the new Sports Illustrated Maven platform set up. Sports Illustrated taking a deeper dive into college athletics, and Tom Brew runs the Indiana site for that. So that's going to be cool. I've seen on some of his promos, he uses that old Sports Illustrated font that looks so cool. But looking forward to having Tom on. He's been out at practice with us this week as well. We'll probably see him later on today as we go out to talk to Coach Allen. And at least we'll find out what went on at practice today maybe, but talk to Coach Allen and see what he had to say. But that's coming up tomorrow. We've had a great week so far, man. It's been a wonderful week, but we appreciate everybody joining us. Jake, you've done a good job as always. Not much more in basketball side, man. Everybody's waiting. You've got two commitments open. Two scholarships open. Who's going to fill those? We don't know. Caleb Love is the potential, but we'll certainly see. But that's going to wrap it up today. We appreciate you joining Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club and Eagle Point Studios. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.
Quicksand's got no sense of humor.